What a beautiful crowd. Look at all these people. It's wonderful. Our theme, of course, this whole year is a grand rising. And what a beautiful epiphany that today is Easter Sunday. It is also our theme this month for doing things like we've never done them before. So here I am today, taking a few personal risks while I'm standing here. And one of them is the explanation of who we are with Christianity, with Sufism, with Judaism, with Hinduism, and with Buddhism. And the most interesting thing is at the turn of the last century, the metaphysicians that came to speak about God and the universe, whether it's in the form of unity, the Fillmores, or Christian Science, which was Mary Baker Eddy, or with us, Ernest Holmes, we saw Jesus not as the great exception, but as the great example. And this is not sacrilegious, because what I hold and know to be true is this: that all paths must be honored, for we honor all paths that lead to God. And Jesus said, "In my kingdom there are many mansions." And you find this within every good faith, that the things that unite us is what we look for, not the things that divide us. The divisions come from culture, I believe, and from dogma. And as the young people in our society today are moving away from traditional religions to spirituality, and I feel really honored to be speaking about how we view the world and how we view Easter. Because when I was growing up, they would tell me that I was a part of a cult being in CSL and religious science. And that is so far from the truth. For we do not teach you what to think, ever. We teach you how to think. And that if you walk through those doors and your path is Christianity, this is a philosophy, not a religion. This is a way of life that weaves into your navigating that path to your God. That is beautiful. So if you're Jewish and you walk through those doors, if you're Buddhist and you walk through the doors, if you're Sufi, if you're Hindu, there's a seat for you in this place. Because we are a center for spiritual living. And it is in the spirit of God, of the universe, of infinite intelligence, of love, that the light of truth speaks. And that truth has three major components: wisdom, love, and compassion. And how you navigate whatever calls you at a deep level, something that calls you inside. Some people don't even use the word God in centers of spiritual living because they feel a strong connection to another word, the universe, infinite intelligence. We are here to support each other in our wholeness, in our oneness. And no one is wrong, because it is your path and it is your journey. And these principles help us navigate that, help us find the unity in all of it. And it's a tricky thing because one doesn't want to offend anyone. And it is a holy day for the Christians. And it is a holy day for all of us in this sense. I'm going to read this quote from Ernest Holmes and one from a Christian spirituality book. But I'm going to delve into symbology from Carl Jung about our existence. So I had hurt my leg, so I'm going to sit for a little bit and read my quotes. It's a little hard to hold everything. Hold on. So, the resurrection is about rebirth. And Jesus, in my opinion, was about great love. The cross, which I found out only recently, was a symbol in pagan times for the 4 seasons, the 4 quarters of the moon, and more recently, metaphysically, it is the horizontal line of the cross is our humanity, and the vertical line is spirit moving through and ascending and then descending and then ascending into spirit. So I find that so appropriate that there are so many meanings for the cross. And it also meant, in medieval times, the wheel of life. So I was like, wow, that's beautiful. And here is the new Christian spirituality, and I really like what David Brenner says. Christianity is the world's great love religion. The Christian God comes to us as love, in love, for love. The Christian God woos us with love and works our transformation through love. In spite of the influence of romantic and sentimental views of love in the Western culture, love is the strongest force in the universe. Gravity may hold planets in orbit, and nuclear force may hold the atom together, but only love has the power to transform persons. Only love can soften a hard heart. Only love can renew trust after it has been shattered. Only love can inspire acts of genuine self-sacrifice. Only love can free us from the effects of fear. There is nothing more important in life than learning to love and to be loved. Jesus elevated love as the goal of spiritual transformation. And I think that's the message for me, is that it's not about which path you take to deepen your connection with the mystery of your existence. That's pretty powerful. For it's about not how we live, but what we live for. What are you living for? And I have to say for myself, it's love and belonging and discovering the mysteries of how I got here. I brought something today to do a process, which I've never done before, because that's our theme this month. And I'm going to invite you to do that with me. I have a quote before I start about the part of the sermon about the egg. I want to talk about a quote that moved me like no other with Ernest Holmes. And it kind of is the essence for me of who we are and why I am in here, in a minister of Centers for Spiritual Living. This is what Ernest Holmes says in Can We Talk to God? A person who goes deeply into his or her own nature will find that God speaks in a language without a tongue, a more subtle language than the human language, a universal language of spiritual emotion, which is instinctive, inhuman, and it is held in common by all civilization and by all creation and by all people who have ever lived. The universal language of emotion, of sense, of feeling, of intuition, of instinct. That to me is incredibly powerful, for our ancestral roots go very deep. And Carl Jung talks about the symbology. So the symbology of the cross, of the resurrection, of Jesus as the great example. I was trying to find a way to talk about renewal and resurrection in symbols. And so I started looking up the egg. the egg. And it's usually an egg that is golden. And let me get the next one. Okay, the symbol of the egg. The egg is a symbol of the universe before creation, representing the potential and unmanifested state of all existence. No beginning, no end. The symbol of life and death, and the promise of rebirth. The first written words about the egg came from the Rig Veda in the Bhagavad Gita, and it's called the cosmic egg, and it's golden. And the embryo of all life is floating in a dark void. And as it is broken open, the whole cosmos is born. The Big Bang Theory, right? The Buddhists, they feel like the egg is magical and divine and is broken open to experience the yin and yang in life. In Greek mythology, the egg, the story of creation was that Eros, which is the prophet or god of love, he decided to come out of the egg. And as he birthed out of the egg, he took the white part of the egg and created the sky, and took the yolk of the egg to create the earth. In pagan times, of course, it's fertility. It's the reminder of rebirth and resurrection. With something that has no beginning and no end, that means it is never born and it never dies. The essence of it is spirit, which we know that even in our bodies, that every 7 years we have a whole new body. All our DNA changes, all the cells leave, transform, and transcend. That's pretty amazing, that everything in life has that same cycle. And so, as we go on in the Jewish tradition, when people die, they bring eggs. And you eat an egg when someone passes, in reminding the symbology of love and renewal. The most interesting thing is the early Christians, during Holy Week in medieval times, you were not allowed to eat eggs during Lent, during the 40 days. You were not allowed to. So they had this accumulation of eggs. And so the children decided to start decorating them. And then at Easter, there was a lot of eggs eaten. And then in the Ukraine and different European countries, they started to paint the eggs red in the honor of the blood of Jesus. And the example that Jesus broke out of the tomb, just like the chick or the animal breaks out of the egg. And I find that the egg is such a cosmic story. And if we look at our ancient roots, they're pretty amazing, because our ancestors before religion, in our tribal times, were still trying to answer the same questions that we are. The Egyptians talked about the cosmic egg and how Ra, of God, the sun god, came out of the darkness to create all life. There is so much history in the egg. And what makes me know that this symbolism is important is just as Carl Jung talks about the archetypical nature of who we are, that connects us in a language that's not a human language. It is a spiritual language, just as love is a spiritual language. And we are both, as the teachers of Jesus, as the teachers of Buddha, as the teachers in Hinduism, the language of spirit is changing the world, and it's evolving. And many young people are walking away from brick and mortar to trying to discover the connection to their own soul, to their own spirit, to their own understanding. We must never throw away the past and our ancient ancestors and our holy traditions that ring true for you, whichever they may be. But there is a transformation and a transcendence that's happening in our consciousness on this planet through science, through love, through all the difficulties that we hold, that all humankind, all living creatures want to experience a deeper connection with everything around them. And that is why I think we're here, to find that deeper connection. And it's found in the silence, it's found in our own hearts and our own minds, and however you do it is perfect, because it is your journey. So today, I have a little process for us to do. So if, I guess Cheryl and Shira, or Doug and Shira, if you guys could pass the eggs around. So my son Doug and I, just go ahead and pass them out to everybody, please. I hope I have enough. I made 80, so I'm hoping it's all good. Doug and I, he helped me. I have an affirmation in this egg. The egg is a symbol. Some have peppermint, some have chocolate. The real shiny ones have peppermint, and the duller ones have chocolate latte. So you can place this egg on your altar if you so have an altar. You can place this egg back in the basket after you're done if you don't want it. But I thought, oh, is this a little childish? But I really want to do this process because I think it's important to remember what the symbols give us to honor the cosmos, right? To honor the spirit, to honor the day of renewal and resurrection in our soul. So, when I was in ministerial school, my dean, Dean Kim Kaiser, gave us this lesson in this process. And the lesson is this. He had us imagine the most important spiritual teacher to us and to figure out who that was. So I'm asking you to sit here and figure out if you could speak to your highest spiritual leader in your path. Hold that person or entity, dead or arisen or transformed, in your heart. And then we are going to hold the egg as a symbol of renewal and transformation and transcendence. We're going to close our eyes, and you're going to picture that person in front of you. I apologize if I didn't have enough. And when you imagine that person in front of you, you get to ask a question that you've always desired to ask. So, thank you, Doug. Thank you, Cheryl. Cool, thank you. A question that you've had a burning desire to answer, get an answer for. Because I think it's in our curiosity and in our endeavors to explore who we are and why we're here is really important. So we're going to go into silence and imagine that teacher in front of you in a chair, and you have the opportunity to ask the question. So let's go into silence for a minute. I invite you, if you so choose, to do that. So your teacher is in front of you, holding the symbol of transformation, the cosmic egg. And ask your question. Are you complete, pretty much? Do you have your question? No. If you don't, it's okay. We'll wait a little bit more. Okay, let's come back into the room. I was so excited about this process. And we were allowed to go home and think about it more, which was a great thing to do. But when I came back the next day, I expected my teacher to let me know what the answer to my question was. And Dean Kim said the next morning, on a Saturday morning, he said, "Isn't that wonderful you have a question?" He said, "Now go find out the answer." And I was like, "What? I have to go find the answer?" So I went about the week, and he shared with us to go and listen and see what symbols come before us, what intuition we have around it, and start seeing with different eyes. Because it's not in seeking new landscapes that we find our joy, but in having new eyes. And this is an opportunity to have new eyes. So as you go throughout your week, think about, where is my answer? Open a book, listen to a conversation that you might not have ever listened to, and see where your answer arises. And I guarantee an answer will come. It may not be the one you expected, but I know an answer will come. And for me, my answer was this. That quote that I just read changed my perspective of so many things about this philosophy. I have children with developmental disabilities who have difficulty navigating critical thinking and reading. And this philosophy growing up was so based upon intellect. Change your thinking, change your life. And I said, what about my kids? You know, my kids that I adopted. How will they learn if they can't critically think, if they can't read? How will they learn all these great discoveries that I know? And what I found in that quote was that the universal spirit of love, of compassion, is instinctive. It is built on emotion and intuition, not of intellect. And therefore, the experience of your connection with God is eternal and instinctual. And our great ancestors, through symbols, trying to discover the same things we are. Why is there death? Why is there suffering? And how do we love it all and walk through it? And I'm telling you, that was a deep, deep revelation for me. That it is about an instinctive journey in connecting with who we call God, or spirit, or our soul. That is what today represents in Christianity. The rebirth. Reminding us, as Reverend Grace said, that life is eternal. And for me, the egg symbolizes our great ancestors in all faiths. But today, we honor Christianity and Jesus. So whatever path you walk, may that answer come to you and bring you great insight as it did for me. Thank you. So, inside your egg, you have a special treat and an affirmation. And the affirmation is, sorry. I am willing in this moment to open my heart, mind, and soul to experience a deeper connection into love and compassion. Hey, so today I want to, before I go into prayer, I want to bring up Ellen and Chris, please.
You mean God?
Yes. Let us give these two some great accolades and affirmations of how wonderful they are. Woo! We're having a great feast today, and as long as I can remember, Ellen has been here working her butt off, okay? And so this is in honor of you. There's something special inside there for you. I love you for all your hard work, and you will enjoy everything. And Chris, I'm so grateful to all your work, too. Thank you for being here and doing all of that. And I just want you to know that the feast today is because of these ladies. So please acknowledge them.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate that. And I just wanted to say that we could make all the food in the world and let it sit there, and if everybody else went somewhere else, we wouldn't be who we are here. And so I just want to hand it back to all of you that the purpose of the lunch is so that we hang out together and get to know each other, and I just value that above everything else here. So thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Thank you, Chris. You're awesome. Excellent work. The great example. Oh, I'm getting corny now. So here we go into prayer. Knowing that we are all here by divine grace, by the divine design. There is no merit. There is no thing that we are not able to receive our good in this life. To know and to acknowledge that in this divine design is the mystery and the magic of life, of death, and of the promise of rebirth. For the only thing we call death is the navigating of our transformation, of our transcendence, of our ability to remember that we are not human beings having a spiritual experience, but we are spiritual beings having a human experience. That is the temporary one. So don't hold too tightly to the Tupperware that you are in, but break free in knowing that with our ancient roots, we also have angelic wings, and our spirit soars in knowing that what we see, there is so much more in what we know. Instinctively, we are led to the path of compassion and wisdom, reminding our connection to those deep roots and to those angelic wings, so that we may fly in the midst of all of it and rejoice in just being alive. And so it is.